Hello everyone, and welcome back finally to Star Trek Event Horizon, a Star Trek Adventure 2nd Edition game using the rules by Modifius Entertainment. My name is ELH the Game Master, and joining me are three lovely individuals who will meet right away because it's been 20 days since we played last, so let's get back to it. So we'll start with Peter. Peter, what do you got going on?
Hey everybody, I'm Peter, Petrus Aquinas around the interwebs. I am playing Lieutenant Commander Giral, the Temerian engineer. And I do have one thing to shout out, I suppose. I did a podcast interview with some Trek alumni, including Jonathan Frakes and Armin Shimmerman, for the PanCan fundraiser, so Pancreatic Cancer Research. So it's over at Code 47 if you look it up. So, yay,
I'll make a note. Try to get me a link and I'll put it in the video description.
will do.
Cool. Up next, Ravenslore, what do you got going on?
Hey, I'm Ravens or Tony. I'm playing Commander Oliver Mason, a rare human in Star Trek Adventures. I'm the CEO of the Event Horizon. Anything on the go? Just a bunch of nerds playing various tabletop games on Crucible Gaming. If you want to watch a bunch of low quality tabletop RPGs, you can check us out there.
Listen, I strive for low quality. I want my content to just be barely passable. That is my goal.
Valid.
Love it. But last but not least, Steadfast, what do you got going on?
Hello, Richard or Steadfast Pig here. I'm playing the lovely Lieutenant Commander Zephyr, face hugging our way to new horizons and new civilizations, like no one has face hugged before. And yeah, I'm just ready to get back. I'm excited.
All right. Well, we still don't have an intro. In fact, I think it's just a meme at this point that we don't have an intro. Unless, I don't know, do you want me to play the April Fool's intro again? I can do it. I mean, I can push the button.
Why not? Yeah.
Nah, I'm not going to spend the 6 threat to play the
Oh,
intro.
man.
No. But no, I believe Commander Mason, you do have an opening log for us.
I do. Stardate 69408.2. The Event Horizon has finally finished ferrying a Corps of Engineer research team to the Nicole Dyson Beam facility so that they could study the advanced technology there. Mim and his fellows are helping where they can, but unfortunately they seem to lose most of their memory as they regenerate. So they knew the weapon had to be stopped and that they were shooting something across the galaxy, but not exactly why. Regardless, I expect that we'll be able to learn a great deal at the facility and from Mim. And that's really why we're out here, after all. Lieutenant Commander Jarrell and Zephyr performed well on their first unsupervised away team mission, though they were quick to call back to the ship for guidance or to make a decision. This could be both good or bad, depending on the circumstance. Good if they collected evidence and options and wanted to present them to command. Bad if they were unsure of themselves or unwilling or unable to make a decision on their own. A few more similar missions will give me more data to parse and more insight. However, I see potential in both thus far. Irregardless, the Event Horizon has new orders to respond to a distress call near the Nicole Dyson Beam facility, which seems to be coming from a Class L world. There's an interesting species that resides there, one that is pre-warp, but is also aware of alien life, and thus, of course, aware of warp drive technology or of its equivalent. So, given that they're aware of warp technology and alien life and have specifically asked for extraterrestrial help, then it's safe to say that the Prime Directive is satisfied. According to my report, there's a large cloud of rogue asteroids sweeping through their systems that the inhabitants, in their infancy, do not have the tools to mitigate. Without intervention, the planet will be decimated or destroyed by the swarm. Event Horizon is to proceed to the system and, if possible, prevent the swarm from destroying the planet.
Very nice. You may have one momentum bringing you up to 2 with assistance from chat. So, one thing that I would like to have in your mind is we do see a Class L world, kind of just a swirls of whites and blues and browns, but then we see just a cornucopia of large rocks, large balls of ice, just so much debris and so much terror coming near this planet in a cosmic sense. But then we see the Event Horizon swooping in and firing off some ionic cannons to blow up some of the debris. And we, of course, zoom in to the bridge of the event horizon. All of you, of course, are at your stations. And Zephyr, you have just completed strafing run number 67, and you've got a lot to go.
Well, Commander, that one's cleaned up. Everything still feels responsive and good to go. Just give me my next targeting vector and firing solution, and we'll continue along.
I'm not sure if we're making enough progress here.
We are limited by the size of our ship, Captain. If we
We're
had a
also the
larger
only
vessel,
ship
we
that
might
can
be
get
able
here.
to use our deflector, but we are the only one who can get here.
Well, I'm sure we have the next 40 or 50 passes programmed in. Might as well keep going. I'm going to do some scans and see if I can, I don't know, potentially isolate larger targets or at least remove smaller targets that the atmosphere might take care of by themselves. We have to speed this up somehow.
All right. Well, Commander Mason, you probably already know what's coming, but if you could give me a reason and I'm going to say reason security this time, because you are
Security.
attempting to go after larger or smaller targets, and I do think that would qualify as security. You will still have a focus in Starship sensors, and the Event Horizon will assist you with a sensor security for its part. Difficulty. Let's just start things pretty easy at a difficulty of 1. Okay, so we got that. I just need to see the ship's sensors and security for the ship. Yep, that's a Peter roll. Mm-hmm.
We talked about it. We
Yeah.
We
spoke
just
about
talked
it.
about this.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
got a Peter when the dice fell right off
Yeah,
the bat.
right off the bat.
I'm not even mad. I'm just mildly impressed at this point.
Yeah, it's just,
Okay, well, Mason, I have good news and bad news. The
No, it's
good
good.
news is
Complications are
that
good.
the good news is that you are able to cut the 60 passes down to about 30. The bad news is that there are 4 specific targets which are going to require a little bit more than just an ionic cannon pass, specifically because of their material makeup. And I'm sure I'm getting this wrong, so space nerds feel free to yell at me. But if I remember my lore correctly, it's like a nickel alloy of sorts that's really hard to destroy. And it's something where the rock is so big and it's so resistant to ionic cannon that you're going to have to do something with these 4 targets in order to keep the planet safe.
Right.
Now, the real question is, are you going to do your power combo?
Oh, I should. Power combo. Right. I didn't bring up my cheat sheet. So 2 questions make a trait, if I remember, but it has to be things that I can see.
Yep, correct. And anybody who
Okay.
is curious about the combo at home, it's a combination of quick survey combined with, I believe, rapid hypothesis and plan of action. So I'll put those in chat for everybody.
it's pretty neat.
It is.
All right, guys. So what do you think? We get 2 questions. They can't come from the ship. They have to come from what Mason can see.
So is it physically out the view screen or from the readout?
Either one, really.
Okay.
You just have to use your normal senses.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't use scanners, but I could
Yeah.
read whatever's on the screen. I expect. I
Right.
mean, that's up to ELH.
No, that's fine. That works for me.
Okay. Since you potentially have the composition of the rocks in front of you, could we know, does that have like a specific thing that it reacts to that we might have on board that's not a weapon?
Would you like that to be your question?
That's a good question. I like that question.
Okay, so first question answer is yes, actually. And it's a little bit odd because when you compare the chemical makeup to what you know, the oceans of this Class L world will dissolve these four rocks quite well, in fact.
Hmm.
The chemical makeup of the water.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
There's still giant rocks that would hit an ocean and cause a
Right.
lot of damage.
Yeah, earthquakes, tidal waves, etc. But hey, the ocean will dissolve it at least.
Are they able to be broken up into smaller, less hyper catastrophic chunks if we were to plunk them with I guess well placed like transphasic torpedoes or
Do you literally
Or
want to do Armageddon the movie?
Or what if we just,
a
played
little bit.
fire truck for a hot second and beamed some water at it?
You know what? As much as I like Armageddon, I like this fire truck idea more. Tell
playing
us
fire
more,
truck is
Peter.
really funny
Tell us
actually.
more.
So
We're going
as
to need a
long
bigger transporter.
as long as the water doesn't, instantly freeze and become chemically inert, we
Right.
could hypothetically either beam or scoop water from the planet and douse these rocks so that the water does its chemical reaction and dissolves at least a decent amount of the rock to reduce the mass.
I mean, I'm all for Plan Armageddon. I'm all for Plan Fire Truck. You just tell me what you want to do, but you still
That's
have
really
one
funny.
question.
Second question: can we just with basic Rito? Can Mason's pretty intelligent?
Mm-hmm.
Can he readily determine the various trajectories of the biggest of certainly the four, but the biggest threats? Just so we could triage the order to deal with them.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't have a concrete listing because it's kind of nebulous, but you will have at least the trait, if you want to make it a trait, of target selection, where you will always know which is the most important asteroid to take care of, and you will know the makeup of it and how to deal with it.
Yeah, I think that's the route to go with the free trait that comes
Yeah.
with the combo is
Okay.
trajectories or target priority or however you want to call it.
Target priority is how I will put it.
Perfect.
And it is now in the scene.
Ooh.
All right, gentlemen. Brainstorm time. While we're brainstorming, we might as well keep doing passes, but
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I was gonna say narratively, I think I can just kind of rip some of these passes while we talk about it.
we can get Cassick up here if you want.
All right. Let's see. I guess that's it. The fire truck route is really funny. Uh, and, like how would that operate from an engineering perspective? Would if it were ice, would it still like adhere to it and then melt the like dissolve the surface still, or does it need to be water form?
Well,
I would imagine that it would need to still be in liquid form.
Right.
So we could
Like,
project with the tractor beam a sort of
yeah.
atmospheric stasis in a section and then beam the like throw the
Just
water
push the
through
water through. Yeah.
yeah, kind of like a impromptu drill
How
Right.
much water are we
to the
talking?
fire
Though?
street.
Like, are we emptying these people's ocean?
not that much, no.
I would hope not. I think it would be, akin to fighting a fire by scooping up someone's swimming pool, but
Right.
not something terribly.
Oh, Peter, you got real quiet there.
Oh, okay. That wasn't intentional.
Hmm.
So just scooping out of someone's swimming pool sort of idea. So I don't
Yeah.
think it would be too much. And even what water that gets used, I'm sure we can reclaim in ice form, or just let
Right.
melt in the atmosphere and rain back down on everybody. Although, is that acid rain? Would we be causing acid rain?
Right.
Although if it's the water of the planet, then hypothetically they're all used to it. So
Right. And specifically, why, like, what is special about the water of the planet that makes these things dissolve? Is there a way for us to replicate that in a more sustainable form here on the event horizon
That is
rather
an
than,
excellent question.
yeah.
And to that, I'm going to let Gerald and Zephit take the lead here, unless Mason, you'd like to assist as well. Just as a reminder, though, that the second assist does require momentum or a threat spend. But what I'm envisioning is for Gerald, it would be an insight in engineering. For Zephit, it would be an insight security. Mason, if you want to chip in, it would be an insight science. And feel free to pitch whatever focuses you think might apply here across the board, because the difficulty here is going to be a 3.
oh boy. Okay. I wonder would this one work? No. Would jury rigging come into play here?
Let me consult jury rigging. Let me see.
Yeah, not the talent per se, but I have a
Oh, the
focus in jury
focus.
rigging.
Yeah, I'll let the focus apply.
Yeah, because jury rigging is generally just repairs. I do have rocks into replicators, but I don't think we're trying to build a new piece of equipment. We have plenty of rocks, though.
Well, let's take a look at rocks and the replicators. Maybe it'll help you here. Once per session, you can destroy any single piece of equipment to create any other piece of equipment at an equal opportunity cost. Has a complication range increase. And you have to tell me what it is you cannibalized. Okay. So I guess if you wanted to, like, go to one of your engineering closets and rip it apart to make your fire hose, that would trigger rocks into replicators.
Yeah.
But at the moment, we're just trying to figure out what it is about the ocean that is conducive to dissolving these rocks in the first place.
Just doing that, I don't know that I have anything particular as a focus that would help.
Okay. Well, actually, you know
have...
what? I'd give you reverse engineering now that I look at your sheet.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay,
nice.
I
There you
can
go.
do that. So I'll do focus there.
Yeah, you probably should lead. I'll happily assist.
I mean, I have the better skills, but we also have to take into account the dice fell.
Yeah,
So-
but no, there's no way that you're gonna get 2 complications in a row. It's gonna be
Inconceivable.
fine. I listen. I have faith of the heart.
Chat, don't go look through my history of everything. Okay, so focus. Do we want to use a momentum at all? To
Oh
add
yeah,
another die?
probably yeah.
Okay,
So
so
there to spend.
I will add a die.
Okay.
And
Okay, there's
Would you look at
hey,
that?
that's
There
3
we go.
successes. Good.
okay.
And then anybody assisting before I can
Yeah.
continue on.
I was gonna assist. I have investigation or maybe survival as focus.
I can give you both. Sure.
Choices. Cool. Then I'm just gonna boo and
There you go. So you actually get the momentum right back. So it is, and again, this is me relying on decades old chemistry knowledge. So again, science nerds yell at me. But you know how that if you have a certain level of acid and you have something that is a certain level of base, you put them together and you get something neutral, right? Well, that's kind of the same principle here, where these rocks are specifically chemically made up to almost too perfectly balance out what's in the oceans.
Suspicious. So, because we now know this, could I use the ship's sensors and the computer to check the trajectory of these rocks to see if potentially they're from that target planet that the gun was trying to blow up?
From literally across the galaxy? I mean, it's possible.
You never know.
Why don't you give me a reason and engineering? Actually, no, I think this would be more a reason con, so maybe Zephit wants to take this one. This would be a reason con, and the event horizon will assist you with a computers con.
all right, I'll do it.
Difficulty of 2 on this one.
Uh, Interesting. Okay. Astronavigation is focused to track
Yeah,
the
most
course
definitely.
trajectory. All right. All right. Let's try to. What's the diff on this one?
Difficulty of 2.
All right. Cool. I will give you a set for a third die, and we're gonna try to get some momentum here.
No, there's already 4, so you get 2 momentum back for your trouble, bringing you up to 4. Very nice. So, Zephit, you track down the origin of these rocks, and it's actually from the next star over. It's not from across the galaxy, it's from the next star over. And as you tune your long range sensors, you're detecting a pre warp civilization there as well. Not the same species as the one here, but the ones that are in this other star system, they are a little bit more advanced. They are, for lack of a better term, they are able to have weather control. They are able to have light terraforming on their own planet. But they don't have warp travel, so they're pre-warp as well.
Okay. So, can we surmise that these asteroids were engineered specifically to be sent over here because they are so, I guess, perfect?
If you give me a momentum, I'll answer that question.
Yeah, sure.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
You spend the momentum, and yes, I can immediately tell you that the chemical makeup is exactly the same of the asteroid belt found in this neighboring system.
How is a
Gotcha.
pre-warp civilization flinging asteroids of this size and this quantity?
Well,
That's an interesting question.
we could. I mean, we could look to see if there's either marks of engines that were attached to the back, like
Right.
rocket boosters, or if there's leftover radiation from a inciting explosion to begin movement in another direction.
We could also potentially chat with the people that called us. Just be like, hey, do you talk to anybody else? Like, about
You're able to,
spacefaring civilizations?
yeah, you're able to send
Right.
fairly deep space distress calls. So
Right.
do you talk to the other side and they don't like
Yeah.
you and they
If
just
they're right
start
next
throwing
door.
rocks?
Yeah, you guys got beef or what's going on over here?
Well, another thing to consider, if it's one thing to throw an asteroid, it's another one to generate an asteroid belt that has a very particular chemical makeup.
True. So we could potentially be looking at a third party.
There's a lot of unknowns. Priority, of course, is the planet dealing with this swarm. So the hows and whys will have to wait for a bit. We'll look into them. But unless there's
Seems
any
reasonable.
evidence of that system flinging more asteroids after these ones, that could be a future problem. Agreed?
Yep.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Okay. Well, if this water takes care of big asteroids and we have a big asteroid problem, we have a security guy and an engineer guy. You think you could figure out how to get that ocean up here?
I'm sure that we can.
Yeah.
It's good. You have 20 minutes.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Valid.
You have 20 minutes, make a miracle happen.
Yeah.
Just standard Starfleet protocol at that point. Give your engineer 20 minutes. Don't tell them why. Just tell them they have
Right.
20 minutes. They'll
Just tell
make
them they have a
something
deadline.
Yep. I can't boost the timeline to 4 times that. Dang it.
Oh, Lord. All right. Well, Mr. Dural, if you would care to give me a daring engineering, and I'll give you jury rigging on this one. And then Zephit, if you want to assist, it's probably a daring security. Mason, if you want to assist, it's probably a daring science. And then difficulty on this one. I've got 9 threat. I think I'm going to just start spending a little bit of it to increase the difficulty to a 4.
Mm.
And I'll spend 1 more to make the complication range 19 to 20.
Ooh.
Does that 4 include a trait?
Say again?
Does that 4, difficulty 4, include the trait we have?
Oh, right, your target priority. No, with target priority in play, also thank you for chat for the threat. With
No.
target priority in play, that would only be a difficulty of 3.
Okay.
And just a reminder for you guys, if we use that trait, we gain 2 bonus momentum immediate spends.
Cool. Nice.
Which can be used for another trait.
Might not be a bad thing. Okay, so I'm using my focus of jury rig. So we're needing to create our fire hose, basically. So I'm going to be creating an interlink between the transporter and tractor beam systems. Obviously reversing the polarity of the tractor beam so that it's pushing instead of pulling. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one because the transporter is going to be running nonstop for a little while. But yeah, I'm trying to think if I don't think there's a piece of equipment in the engine room that I can tear apart that would make this easier. So at least nothing comes to mind.
Definitely not your coaxial warp. You need that to get home.
Yeah, that's kind of
Yeah.
important. I feel like I'm going to tap my determination and do solutions come from adaptability.
Okay.
Because I am building something weird.
Okay. So you'll start with 2 free successes. Also, since it's been a while, remember every time any of you use a value, make a note of it because that's how you change your character sheet.
Yep. I've been making notes. Okay. All right. Here goes.
Okay. Well, that's 2 successes, which means I need to see 1 more from an assist.
Yeah, I was still have reason, security. And, I don't really think I have any focus here for assisting with that, but it's it's still doable.
I mean, technically, isn't a fire hose just a shipboard tactical system?
You're right.
It is
Sure.
pointed at something
That
and
is
shooting.
true. Yeah,
So,
yeah. Okay, I'm all right with this.
There's
All
your
right.
3. And you also got a momentum from chat. So yes, Jarrell and
Nice.
Zephyr working together, you were able to cobble together a continually transporting fire hose using the tractor beam. So thankfully you don't have to use your cargo bay full of ocean water.
Nice.
that would have been not great.
But as Mason said, you do actually have 2 now floating momentum as part of his, what is that? That is...
Target priority.
Plan of action.
Plan of action, there it is. So you can immediately create a trait. You can do a lot of things with it. You just have to tell me what it is you want to do with that 2 bonus momentum.
Can we still, in second ed, speed up a process?
Yes, you can.
Because that would be a good
Yeah.
spin.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay. So, narratively, the way I'd like to imagine this is the event horizon gets a little bit closer to the planet to establish initial target lock on the transporters, flies just to the edge of transporter lock range, and then using the tractor beam begins basically fire hosing the 4 largest asteroids using the planet's natural water. And the first one, everything goes great. The water does its job, renders the rock into basically fine particulate, and if you want, you can come back later and recapture the water as it freezes. Second rock, same verse as the first. Third rock, same verse as the second. However, I am going to spend 2 threat to say that as you spray the fourth rock, something interesting happens where the rock is still dissolving and the rock is still being eaten away by the water. But what you're seeing underneath is what looks like some form of a massive engine or thruster.
Nice.
Mhm.
How large are we talking here?
And this might date a reference. I don't know. Did you ever play Mass Effect where they had
Yes.
the Batarians that were throwing the rock
Oh,
into
no,
the
not
planet?
that one.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Dang. That Batarian DLC. Yeah.
Yeah. For anybody who doesn't
Oh.
know, there's a mission in Mass Effect where you have to go to an asteroid and you have to stop an asteroid ramming a planet. The thruster is about the size of a Saturn V, if not a little bit larger.
Dang. Cool.
There is something just fundamentally wrong with this region of space where people dislike each other so much that they'll spend 1,000 years throwing rocks at each other. Because this rock is not going faster than light. And that
Right.
system is a long ways away,
It'd be.
going less than the speed of light.
I wonder how many times they had to workshop this to get a working model this far over here. I'm sure they've probably been doing this sort of thing for some time, unfortunately.
I just sometimes am amazed at the anger that people have towards people that are different or blessed.
I wonder,
Regardless, giant engine.
can we scan to see if there's any indication of one in the system that may have like glanced off the planet at some point in the past to see if this has been tried before?
Should also
I'm
probably
just
get full scans of this engine so we can use it for
right.
evidence.
I'll give it to you free since you're sitting at 5 momentum. I don't think spending momentum here is worth it. So the answer I'll tell you is that no, as far as you can tell, this is the first time any kind of engine like this has entered this system. And in fact, since you scan the engine, you now have the unique signature of said engine.
And this engine tracks with a pre-warp civilization.
Oh yes, yes. To borrow another sci-fi series, if any of you watched The Expanse or read the
Yeah.
books, similar things there. Where The Expanse, it's not Martian stealth rock technology, but
Right.
it is still something where if you put a thruster on a rock and you leave it running long enough, it'll get there eventually.
If it has enough fuel.
Mm-hmm.
Constant acceleration, then you rely on momentum and inertia.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, interesting. You want me to blow it up?
Is it small enough that we could redirect it with the tractor beam at this point?
It is.
I was going to say, I'd rather grab it if we can.
I would like to grab it with the tractor beam.
Yeah.
Which means I have to unreverse the polarity, turn off the hose, and make the tractor beam work like a tractor beam again.
Hmm.
Well, what I will tell you is that whomever is doing the tractor beam task, it's a control security. The ship will assist you with a structure security. And I've got some threats, so why don't we make this a little bit interesting? I'm going to make it a difficulty of 3.
I think Zephyr, you should do that because those are not
Yeah.
my stats.
Yeah, I can do this. Let's see. I guess shipboard tactical would still fire because of the way that we're using the
I mean, it is
tractor
a
beam in this
tactical
context,
major
yeah.
action according to the rules,
yeah,
so yes.
according to the rules, that is true. All right, cool. Let's see. And what was the diff?
Difficulty of 3.
3. All right, cool. Nice. I'll give you a third die with bold.
Okay.
and I'll just let it fire.
Hey, get your
There
three,
we go.
4 from the ship. You're at 6 momentum capped. So just start finding ways
Yes.
to spend it.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, you're able to snag the remains of the engine that was beneath or within this actual giant rock. And what would you like to do with it? It's currently in your tractor beam, just kind of sitting there.
It's way too big to put in our cargo hold, isn't it?
No, it's literally bigger than you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
Let's disable it if we can.
mhm.
Are there any power readings on it?
That's what I was going to say, is that it is already disabled. It has long run out of fuel, long run out of power. This is something where, like Peter said earlier, they just kind of burned it as hard and fast as possible and then let momentum kind of take it from there. So there is no more fuel, there is no more power. Now that you've locked it in the tractor beam, no more danger of hitting the planet.
All right.
Is
Nice.
there any, if we, can we do an internal scan and determine if there is anything resembling a computer core
Mhm.
control station, or is it just a giant fuel tank with a radio receiver?
It is literally just a giant fuel tank with a radio receiver.
Yep.
Nice.
That's okay. Just park it somewhere. We'll take it over when I go scold these people.
Cool.
Mhm.
I'll we'll put it out of the path of the remaining little chunks, out of the gravity well, and just put it somewhere where it remains in its happy spot, so
Is
we
that the
can come
official
back
term
and
for it? The happy
pick it
spot?
up later. Yeah.
Just take that clip out of context, you know.
Yeah. Of course.
But yeah,
How are we
you
looking
park
for
the
the?
you park the engine remnant off to the side, and you resume
Mhm.
your ionic cannon passes of the remaining asteroids.
Yep.
And I
Yep.
would say after about 2-3 hours, the threat has no longer been an issue. That at this point you have either destroyed enough of the asteroid swarm that the planet's atmosphere will handle the rest, or you have reduced what is there to atoms at this point.
Cool. All right. Nice. Well, Commander, everything looks, for the most part, I think all of the dangerous chunks have been cleaned up or vaporized. Do you want me to set a course? You can chat with these folks, or
Well, we should talk to the locals at the very least.
oh, yes, so sorry, that's what I meant.
Especially since they asked for help. Might as well let them know that they're no longer in danger. Although, if they're able to, well, I'm sure we'll find out if they're able to scream at their neighbors, then they would be able to see.
Well, in fact, you're actually getting a
Yeah.
radio-based communication from the planet.
Nice. Nice.
AM or
Remember,
FM?
we have to ensure the integrity of the Federation. We'll put on our best faces, and if they have visual, put it on screen, please.
Okay. Now, of course, it's not glorious subspace technology. It's radio waves, so it's not the best quality, but sure, it's the equivalent of picking up a TV show from space. It's there, but it's not the best quality. But what you see is a grasshopper-like species where they have the insectoid thorax and the parts and the legs and the pincers up front. But instead of like a grasshopper green, they are a mottled mixture of black and white, where it's just kind of like spotted and mottled across their entire carapace. And when they speak, their mandibles make clicking noises, but your universal translator easily picks it up and they say, well, thank you for responding to our distress call and for handling the issue that was facing our planet. Is there anything we can provide in reward? We have many materials that we have used to pay off other species in the past. We have perhaps star charts of the area that you may use. I obviously do not know your purpose for being here, but we are happy to provide whatever reward you see fit.
We don't look for rewards. We just are happy to help.
Oh, well, this is novel. This is the first time anybody has turned down a reward.
How often have you run into trouble like this?
Well, this specific instance, this is the first time we've had asteroids flung at us, but we had a tectonic issue before that we were given anti-grav technology, and for that we gave a large amount of natural resources to the aliens that stopped by. There was the atmospheric weather issue. Again, we traded for technology to handle our weather. And then there was the issue regarding our moon, where we had our colony there that was in distress, and we once again traded natural resources for that.
Did you did you happen to trade resources to the same species for each of these
No, they
incidents?
were all different. One was, and they like motion with their mandibles and motion with their pincers. One was like, I don't know how to describe it, and what translates over the universal translator is lion, but they say a completely different word. But they say one was like a lion species that was very loud and very boisterous and kind of scared us, honestly. And the other one was some kind of a fish. But the third one was really interesting. The third one was a gelatinous ooze that was just kind of sentient.
Okay. So
Will it
like,
take
is that like
all kinds?
Cations and Antideans? Like, trying to figure out what those first two might be.
How did you get in touch with these people?
Well, much the same way we got in contact with you. We sort of just sent out a distress call, and they were the ones that answered.
How
I
long ago?
see.
Well, this has been going on for about 50 years at this point.
I'm going
Okay.
to
And
make sure
there's
that I'm not audible, and I'm going to lean over and like, I don't think that those would be anyone from the Federation. We're a little too far out.
It certainly wouldn't be Federation. If it was, we'd have a record of it regardless, right?
Exactly. I can check the database if you want, just to
Yeah.
be on the safe side, but I don't think so.
It doesn't hurt to check, but we don't have a ship outside the event horizon that can reach here.
No, as far as we know.
Do you have any evidence that the tectonic issue that you had was artificially created or
Oh, no, as far as we were able to tell, it wasn't artificially created. It was just the natural sublimation of our tectonic plates of our planet. And the technology we were given, the grav plating, just sort of slowed that process down so that we didn't have as many earthquakes. We didn't have as many volcanoes erupting.
Do they happen to have satellite imagery of the Helper's spacecraft?
Hmm.
Would you like to ask for it?
I would, but I'm not the one on the call.
Then I guess, Commander Mason, would you like to ask for it?
certainly,
Okay. Yeah,
absolutely.
and your buddy sends over some images, and what you see, definitely not in the Federation database. One of
That's what I
these
thought.
ships looks kind of like a crab, but instead of like an Alaskan crab with big thick legs and all that, and the big pincers, where the pincers are where nacelles are, so it's kind of like oh, how to describe it? Okay, so this is gonna dig deep, but you remember back when you were a kid and you were in gym class, and there were those wheeled sort of platforms that you would always stub your fingers with. That might be a
Yeah.
dig, might be a bit of a dig, might be an American thing, but at least in America we had these like rollable platform things that were like an inch off the floor, and the gym teacher would just give it to you, and you would run across the floor and stub your fingers because you're holding onto it while you're riding it. It was a whole thing.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
might be an American thing.
Yeah.
But it's one of those where I'm just imagining like the crab is like running with the nacelles in front of it, and then that's how it gets through space. That's one ship. The second ship is, well, if it's the gelatinous ooze, it makes sense. It's quite literally just a ball with ever changing and ever morphing sort of liquid inside. And then the other one is just kind of just an oblong shape with two nacelles on the end of it. Nothing really fancy about it.
At the very least, we now have evidence of more life forms in this region of space.
Well, I was just going to say this is
Yeah.
remarkable, actually. There's 3 first contacts that are available to us.
Yeah.
We might need to go fetch a diplomat, but
Yeah.
irregardless, your neighbor star, have you had contact with the species that resides there?
Which neighbor star do you mean?
Uh, the class, I'll describe the one.
Yeah, you described the one in nature. And they go, no, as far as we're aware, we weren't aware of any life on that world.
I'm not certain if there is life on that world or not. I'm just curious if you were aware of anything about that system.
Nothing remarkable comes to mind. I can give me a moment. I'll interface with my scientists, and you get a waiting screen and pleasant elevator music. Maybe goes for about 3 minutes. And it's really weird because it's one of those like jazz fusions with ska, and you're just like, oh, this could go pretty hard if you added a little tempo to it, and maybe added a little bit of mood lighting. Anyway,
Rawl hits the record button.
Yeah.
there you go.
Copy that.
These grasshoppers, man.
Eventually, though, the Urquad ambassador comes back and says, well, as far as we were able to tell, there is a Class M world there, uninhabited as far as we were able to tell. It was something we were considering maybe colonizing once we officially left our world to colonize things again. Sorry, not again. For the first time is what he says.
Whoa.
Yeah, sorry, that was the GM.
We caught him.
They did colonize their moon, so
Right.
Yeah,
That's
they did
true.
colonize their moon. Yeah, but no, as far as we're aware, there wasn't anybody there. I mean, then again, our sensing technology is not as great as yours. If perhaps they are pre-warp like us and just don't make any signs of it.
Honestly, I don't have any specifics about anything. I was just curious of how much you were aware of your neighboring stars, specifically that one. It seems the asteroids came from that direction.
Oh, well, that would be very interesting. I mean, that would imply that some intelligence had to be in that star system.
Or some sort of phenomena happened to cause those asteroids to come in this direction. There's literally a million different reasons for rocks to move in space.
Yep.
All right, well, thank you again, and if you change your mind about that reward, just let us know.
We're happy to help, but we may have a member of our diplomatic corps reach out to you sometime in the future.
We look forward to it.
Excellent.
Right.
Mason.
Yep, comm channel closes.
What were they called? Urquad? Sorry?
Urquad. IRQRAD, and I'll even put it in Foundry chat for you. There you go.
Interesting. Urquad. Nice.
Mantises. So many questions.
Yep. Yeah, no kidding. Okay.
All right. Technically, we have completed the mission that was assigned. However, if there's a clear and present danger to this planet coming from that other system, I think at the very least we should go take a look.
Sweet.
I would agree.
Good exploration. Potentially following the thread here. Maybe one of those other species that they had previous contact with knows more, or maybe we can find other trails of them. Lots of fun stuff to look at around here.
Certainly. Just keep in mind that whoever threw those rocks, when they threw those rocks, which could have been 1,000 years ago, were pre-war. And we don't have any evidence that they're aware of extraterrestrial species outside of them throwing rocks at a planet.
Yep.
Presumably, benefit of the doubt, they're terraforming.
Right.
Or it was just someone skeet shooting with a giant engine.
Yeah. Right.
With a lot of patience. Yeah, maybe they're immortal and spending 1,000 years throwing rocks is normal.
Right.
Who knows? Irregardless, Prime Directive will be in play until we know different.
All right, and we're gonna bring the engine with us, right?
Yeah, we should return that to sender
Yeah, yeah,
just in case they're assholes.
yep. Hey, you guys drop this. Here you go.
All right. So
Yeah.
So
just
set a
for
course,
narrative
but
sake,
keep.
are you coaxial warping over with the engine or just normal warp over?
I think we'll just warp over. It's right there.
Yeah, right around the corner, right?
Yeah, it's like 4 or 5 light years that way. So
Yeah,
Yeah. Take a
okay,
couple hours at warp 6 or something.
yeah.
So
yeah,
Yeah,
something manageable. All right.
but let's keep our distance. I want to know more about what we're running into before we get too close.
Mhm.
So narrative time passes. You
Yep.
arrive on the outskirts of this secondary system. The engine is, of course, still in tow with your tractor beam. But as you start to scan the system, because again you're at 6 momentum, I'm going to give it to you for free,
Hmm.
you're detecting no life signs in the system. But you are detecting the remnants of an advanced civilization, again, still pre warp, but still advanced. So better than what we are in real life right now.
Right.
But you're seeing the remnants of buildings, you're seeing remnants of weather control systems, of tectonic plating, all the kind of technology that the Urquad had is present on this world. But there's no life signs, no living things as far as your sensors are aware.
how
How?
long ago does it look
Yeah.
like this
Well,
happened?
let's kick off the combo. We're probably in a new
Right.
scene,
Yeah,
Yep, you
yeah.
are in a new
True. Go for
scene.
it. Yep.
right? So perfect question though. We'll steal that. How long
Right.
ago?
Mm-hmm. So it looks like this has been abandoned for 2 or 3 millennia.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay, and is there obvious signs of uh extermination of it?
Define what you mean by extermination.
What, like, did giant asteroids hit the
Solar
planet? Is it
flares.
solar
Yeah.
flares, giant tectonic earthquakes, that sort of thing?
Skynet.
Yeah,
Scott, yeah,
Skynet
is
is
there
True.
real.
Yeah.
robot
Death
corpses littering the
Star. Yeah.
ground? Yeah.
So
Just
because you asked, I will tell you, and this might be a little bit of a downer, but it is what it is. It looks like this planet got hit by a very powerful gamma ray burst.
Oof.
Oh no.
Which, if you remember a certain weapon that's cosmically close by,
Yeah.
Oh no.
They got caught in the crossfire.
Our lobster friends.
Mim shot him.
Yeah.
Miv.
Now here's a slightly worrying thought.
hmm,
Can we tell how long ago they got hit by this gamma destructo burst?
it's still the same answer as before. It's 2 to 3
Right.
millennia.
Okay. Theoretically, if asteroids were to leave this planetary system and go to the neighboring spot with the engine, how long would that have taken?
About 2 to 3 millennia.
Did we just blow up like colony ships by accident? Were they like, was it like gene-seeded rocks? Which is why they were like specifically made to dissolve in the water.
That would be
Like,
bad.
what if they were like meant to hit the other planet's water and then dissolve and then their species would populate?
Well, we can always scoop it
Yeah,
back up.
let's
It's not like it's gone.
right. That's
Could we also
check in.
potentially check the adjusting for stellar drift? Could we see if potentially
Sure.
those rocks were supposed to hit the cannon, since it is close to that other planet?
Okay.
Now that you think to check, yeah, they were supposed to hit the cannon.
Okay.
So why were they mad at these guys?
Could the people on this planet have used their telescopes, seen the weapon, somehow figured out that it was dangerous and aimed at them,
Right.
launched their stuff to try to damage it, but obviously it's too slow, and then our can't remember the name of the species, but our lobster friends decided to
Probably not.
just did a test fire. Like, I don't think it was, I'm not convinced that it was malicious, but because we do know that they figured out that this was like a terrible idea, but we don't know how long ago it took for them to figure out that it was a terrible idea.
Let's say, would this like would the beam, if it were, you know, if they were aiming at the cannon from their planet, and then the beam crossed over the path, hit the planet, wiped them out, would it have altered the course of the rocks at all?
Yep. And
Gotcha. Yeah.
yeah, they would have been put on the new trajectory of hitting your Urquhart
Right.
friends.
Yeah. So it was just an oopsie daisy type situation. They were trying to stop the cannon when the beam hit and killed them. It was also on the path that the rocks were going naturally. So then it caught them and then swung them off, and unfortunately yeeted the rocks in the direction of our Urquhart buddies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well
But
then.
there is one thing you're not seeing yet, and I'm trying very hard not to spoil it.
Mhm.
But if you want to make a roll for it, I can always have your character knowledge trump out of character knowledge.
I'll roll for it.
Valid.
So
Mason
I'm
will
actually going
roll
to
for
give
sure.
all three of you a combination, and you can all decide who's doing the main role and who's assisting, because this will be a difficulty of 5. But if this is coming from Mason, this is a reason science. If this is coming from Lieutenant Commander Giral, you're getting a reason engineering. And of course, Zephyt, if this is coming from you, you get a reason security. But again, this is difficulty of 5.
Reason engineering is my power combo.
Is that 17?
No, it's 16. That's what I got.
So my reason science is 17. But I don't think I
that's
have a focus.
better.
But I don't know what I'm rolling, so maybe I do.
Let me look at your focuses. You would have a focus.
So I might as well lead it. Just
Yeah.
to keep Peter from dice.
Yeah. Yeah. Correct.
Stay
It's a
far
defensive
away.
role.
Defensive roll. And we have lots of momentum, so we might as well all assist, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I'd say take whatever you want, if you have, bold or rerolls or anything, and then I think we both assist, and I believe.
Does
I
the
do
ship
not have
assist?
rerolls. I put everything into
Oh, nice, true.
being smart.
Nice.
Well, you do have determination, so you could
Yeah,
use that to
it's
get
true.
2 free successes.
I do have determination. Do I have a way to use it?
Oh, well, I mean, your value of I am smarter than you. Duh. Yeah.
Nice.
Well,
Yeah.
I am smarter than you. In
Yeah.
fact, that's why I'm taking the lead. Yes.
Yeah. There
Yeah.
you go. But then how many die do you
Okay.
want to buy with momentum and or threat is the question.
I think I will spend. I think I'll just spend the 1 momentum. I do have faith of the heart, so when I spend a momentum, we get 1 anyway. So
Well, determination to get a momentum. Yeah, so you stay at 6. Mm-hmm.
so we stay at 6. So you guys feel free to spend your heart too.
Well, as a reminder, they can't buy die
Yeah,
as
we can't.
assists.
Yeah.
The first assist is free. The second assist would cost 1 momentum or 1 threat.
So we can use a momentum to get me or Zephyt to roll.
Yeah. I think we might as
Could
well
we
just spend the
use-
momentum so we both
Could we
assist.
use another momentum for the ship?
Yeah, if you wanted to have the ship assist as well, that would probably be a computers and science for the ship.
Just to get more complication.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
It'll be
focus,
fine.
determination, 1 extra die for me.
Nice.
Do I have a focus that would apply here?
Let me consult your sheet.
Since
You
I don't know
do.
for sure what we're rolling for. So
You
I
do.
guess
okay.
I'll be the third person to ask the question. Do I have a focus that would work?
Yes, you would.
Nice.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna roll Geralt first. Um, because
Yeah, that tracks.
there it is.
Yeah, that tracks.
We all knew that was
Yeah,
gonna
of course, of
happen.
course, of course.
We used the momentum to let me touch the dice, and this
Hmm.
is what we get.
Well, that's okay. You can't possibly roll a complication on a ship, too.
So 1 in 400 odds. Go ahead and hit. Okay, that's good.
I
Nice.
That's
mean,
good.
it's a zero, so
That's okay. Mason's gonna get. Yeah. Oh, oh
6
my
successes.
God.
There you
Oh
go.
my
Jeez.
God. Okay.
All right, Zephyr, bring it home.
I am smarter than you.
Yeah.
Yep.
100%.
Okay,
What's
that is
wow?
8 total successes. In fact, I'll be nice. If you want to
Successes, and
spend
then
2 of that floating momentum, because you have. Actually, no, you would be getting 3 momentum back, so you would have
Yep.
1 floating momentum. If you want to go to 5 momentum, you can buy off that complication.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
probably a good call.
That feels safe. Yeah.
So, Mason, something that Zephyr said about, oh, wait a second, did we just destroy biological seed material? You think about that for a moment, and then you turn your attention to the asteroid belt, and you do a scan. Sure enough, the gamma ray burst did not destroy the seeds of life that are within the asteroid belt. Now,
Nice.
it's not like this species that was destroyed put like pods of their people out on the asteroid, but this is like the equivalent of like primordial Earth getting hit by that one special rock that kicked everything off, kind of a thing.
Well, okay. The next question is there another planet nearby that has similar oceans?
Well, I'll do you one better if you spend the momentum.
Sure, we have lots.
Okay, go down to 4 momentum. Yeah, actually, when you check the ocean of this current world, the Class M world, you think with a little chemical engineering, you could make it habitable or primordial ooze equivalent thereof. So you could reseed life on this planet using the asteroid. You just have to play chemical engineering.
Wow.
Okay. Now, do we have any right to do that?
That is the question.
They were pre-war.
They
They didn't cause their own end.
they didn't cause their own destruction, nor was it a natural disaster. 'Cause the Prime Directive does definitely come into play if it was like a, you know, their sun decided to wipe them out, or there
Right.
was some geological instability on the planet. But a super weapon by a race that's even more advanced than the Federation wiping them out. Definitely not in the normal criteria for the Prime Directive, but I don't know if that necessarily makes us able to do anything about it.
If we were in the area when that weapon was about to be fired at this planet, at this civilization, we would be obligated
To try
to
to
save
stop
as
it.
many lives as possible.
True.
However, these lives are already lost.
Technically, even if we were to place the asteroid on another planet, right, we're technically not breaking the Prime Directive because it's theoretically going to evolve in a different way anyways. We're not we're not saving a species. We're not, you know, stopping them from extinction. We're just putting an asteroid on another planet and letting nature
then-
run its course.
But then we're playing the role of, preservers or enkindlers or something where we're creating a species. And while there's, I suppose, nothing wrong with that, I'm not entirely sure I want to see I don't know that I want to stand before a hearing to try to explain that.
What if we don't do any sort of engineering then? What if we drop it and see if life will
Can
find a
I
way or not?
do a quick scan to see if the planet is going to be anywhere where a asteroid could fall into its gravity well
Right,
and hit it naturally?
right. Theoretically, it could happen on its own.
Well, are we talking theoretically, or theoretically with quotes on it?
Um,
I think theoretically, like the correct. Yeah,
first theoretically full stop,
Hmm.
and
yeah,
then maybe just out of curiosity,
right,
theoretically
right.
with scare quotes.
Okay. So to answer your question, no, unless something comes into the system and disturbs the gravity, you aren't going to get a asteroid impact on this planet. But if something were to pass through the system and, oh, I don't know, nudge that one just a little bit off its course, eventually in about 2,000 to 3,000 years, it'll hit the planet.
So if we dropped the engine off and it just happened to float into the asteroid belt, I don't know.
We are not gods.
True.
We have no right to have anything to do with repopulating a species. It is not our role. It is not our responsibility. And it's a slippery damn slope.
That is true. Are there any, just to do a quick scan, are there any remnants of the civilization on any of the other planets in the system, or were they uh, confined to just their planet? Like, did they make it to their moon or,
No, they were
like the second planet?
confined just to their planet. Their planet did not have any moons. But if you spend 2 momentum, I'll say that there's a working computer still on that planet. Well, working in the sense that it didn't get burned out, but you as an engineer go, that's a computer I can pull data from.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, there is a working computer core, so if we wanted to learn what we could about the civilization and at least preserve what happened, that is most certainly within our mandate.
Absolutely. And perhaps there'll be some information on that computer that'll give us the justification we need.
Perhaps.
But let's bring it up, take a look.
Is it safe to beam this computer up? Is it small enough, or are we talking like a Fortran,
Are we
size
talking
of
like literally industrial container size stuff? No, I think they were sufficiently advanced that this computer core would be like a server rack. You could put it in your cargo bay.
Yay, server closet.
nice.
Yay!
Always wanted another closet with computers in it.
We're gonna have a symphony of alien boobs by the end of this game.
All right. Well, I will isolate the computer, make sure to beam it with enough pieces of cabling that I can figure out how to connect it to stuff and power it. And then beam it to a section of the cargo bay so I can put a portable power generator.
The cargo bay.
Yes. And my special project corner in the cargo bay.
Nice.
So I'm not
Literally
working
just
in
3
front of
feet to the left.
Yeah.
3x3. The engineers.
Right, yeah.
This is where Giral is if he's not standing in front of the coaxial closet.
And that's the best part, is that Gerald just stands in the hallway looking at the closet like, are you going to break? Are you going to break?
Right.
No,
Yep.
you're not going to break?
Like
Okay.
you walk from the bridge to go find like your quarters and you just see Giral standing there going, don't do it. Don't do it.
It's like a horror movie. You walk by and the light flashes and you're just standing there silhouetted.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think we've ever really talked about the quarters on the event horizon, so since we've got time left, why don't we explore that a little bit? So the event horizon quarters, at least in my imagination, the way I've got the ship lined out, is they're on deck 2, so the underside of the saucer section. And it is such that the junior officers all share bunk beds. They're not hot bunking, but it's pretty close. But Gerald, Zephyr, and Mason, if you want, you can have your own rooms, or if you want to keep one or two rooms open for guests, you certainly can do so as well. But just for a bit of flavor, since again we have some time, let's just go one by one. I want to know a little bit about what creature comforts your characters have. So let's start with Gerald. What's going on in your quarters?
Um, well, I'm gonna imagine that um, we probably kept one room open,
Okay.
but that's what I would think. So Chiral is probably sharing with Zephyr.
Okay, we
Be
can
my
do that.
guess.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so on the 4x4 or whatever side that is Chiral's,
Right.
you're gonna have like some ceremonial Temerian like daggers and bits and bobs on the wall. Um, there is going to be um, a fish tank that's embedded in, but it's not a lionfish, guys. It is a cuttlefish.
Nice.
All right.
Why? Only Gerald knows. Um, so
All right.
there's that, and then there's a handful of books kind of on the bed. They're not on a shelf, they're on the bed. So he's either reads them and falls asleep or
Mhm.
sleeps on top of them. No one's entirely sure.
All
But
right.
maybe Temerians learned by osmosis.
Right.
I mean, technically, they're all meme based, so who knows? But since we are in that
One of
same
them
room,
one of them is the history of memes from Earth.
Right. Very good.
oh god, I would not want to write that book. Just can you
No.
imagine having to write the history of memes?
A truly dark experience.
Oh my god, I just realized that that's probably going to be a Zoomer thing. Oh no, no,
of
Zoomers!
course, yeah.
If any of you are watching,
yeah.
please do not make the history of memes. Don't.
Yeah.
Just
They're going to show up
don't.
in Barnes and Noble, and it's going to be
Oh
awful.
my god, we have
Or
spoken
make-
this evil into
Or
existence.
make a
I'm
cover
so
of it
sorry,
and has
future
to have a picture of a
civilizations.
Temerian doing this.
Right. Yeah. Super bad.
Oh my god. Well, now that we have spoken unspeakable evil into existence,
Yeah.
Zephit, since you're the other half of the room, what do we see for
Hmm.
Zephit's affectations?
Well, Zephyr is a Denobulan, so sleep is not really a thing that he considers or does very frequently, except for those hibernation cycles. So, with the time that we've spent on the event horizon, he's spent almost none of it in his quarters because he has no need for sleeping.
Mhm.
So the bed is like completely untouched from factory settings. He just doesn't do anything with it. But he does have just on the bed like some personal affects that he keeps. Like I'll unpack these later, but later never comes around because he doesn't just spend any time in here. Um, but every once in a while he does stop in. He's got his Denobulan grooming kits, right, to clean his ridges and his like neck folds when he does the head puff, and for cleaning his tongue, which is the really long sticky tongue. You got to keep that in order. So he's very very particular about that. He always grabs his stuff in like the middle of the night and goes to the restrooms and quietly cleans himself in the middle of the night when nobody else is around because he's very self-conscious. Um, but other than that, it's really not too much. He's got like a little photo of the classic Denobulan family that's like 12 people. Um, so other than that, he spends most of his time just wandering the ship, and he kind of chalks it up mentally to doing security rounds, even though there's barely anything to look at. But you gotta be sure just in case. So.
Just the blinky light in the coaxial closet.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Nice. I love it. But then next, Mason, what's going on in your quarters? And I already know something hockey's got to be there.
Oh, absolutely have to have something hockey. So I imagine his quarters are much like a submarine's. Like there's a lot of submarine
Yeah.
stuff going on here. I'm a submarine veteran.
Mhm.
So it would have a cot. It would have a navigational computer, a small bookshelf. It'd probably be right off the bridge. It's my experience for submarines is captain's quarters is right off the bridge because captains sleep much more than everybody else because they're woken up anytime there's any kind of hiccup, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're not on watch as often on a submarine as they would be on a service vessel. But on one wall in that one little spot that's free, he would have a Montreal Canadiens jersey, number 33, Patrick Waugh's jersey, who's a goaltender that revolutionized the way that uh, the role of the goaltender was played many, many, many years ago, and was my hero personally growing up. I was a goaltender as well. So
That's
There you
cool.
number
go.
33, Patrick Waugh jersey, probably signed behind some glass or something.
Nice. Love it. Love it. Now, the reason I asked about that, just in general, to get that feel from all of you, is because all of you are going to get a personal message from home. And I'm now curious is what that personal message looks and feels like. We don't have to go into the full role play, but we're going to go in reverse order. So Mason, what sort of message would you be getting from home at this point? Would it be extended family? Would it be your immediate family? Would it be an estranged relative? What sort of message would Mason kind of get from home?
So Mason has a long-term friend,
Okay.
a Vulcan named Sotek,
Okay.
who he's confided in his history with the Q. And in my headcanon with his history with the Q is that Mason's was originally a science officer. And then some shenanigans happened that I'm sure we'll explore in game a little bit. And his history was rewritten to become a command officer. But Sotek is the person that he's confided in this story. So a message from Sotek would mean there's probably some time shenanigans happening.
Oh
Interesting.
no.
The GM
Which is
has made
why
a
he has
note for. No, the GM is making notes for future sessions. Okay.
which is why he has a focus in space time because
Mm-hmm.
he's experienced a bit of it.
Okay. So that's
So
what.
I'm sure we don't need to go into the specifics of it, but probably there's some anomaly that's kicked up that
Yeah, some
needs to be
anomaly that may or may
investigated.
not be next week. Maybe we'll find out
Right.
together.
Yeah,
Or the week
great.
after.
All right, let's go to Zephit next. What sort of mess would you be getting from home? I mean, you're a Denobulan, so you have a huge family. So
Yeah,
would it be from family
lots.
or?
Yeah, lots of folks. I think we'll say it's good news on this one. One of Zephit's wives, Defina, is with child with one of Defina's other husbands,
Mhm.
Delix, and so she's just messaging to share the good news and to check in on, uh, how life aboard the Event Horizon is currently.
Cool. I like it. And then Jaral, what sort of message would you be getting from home?
Um, Jarrell probably would get a message from like, let's say a younger sibling who hasn't quite left the house yet, who's kind of curious about like what's it like to be around these Starfleet people because there's not that many Temerians in Starfleet at this point, I think. Um, so kind of talking about that, and then ever the pragmatist, well, what are you going to do when you get older? Are you going to go to Starfleet or going to do something else? And of course this is all in Temerian metaphors, so anyone who walks in has no idea what we're talking about, but it's something along the lines of like Jaral giving like quick rundowns of like, hey, this is what's happened, we've done some really cool things, we blew up a weapon run by lobsters, that sort of stuff. So,
I'm just
and of course,
imagining. I don't know why I've got it in my head now, but I'm just imagining going, no, Shaka when the walls fell. Not Shaka when the dice fell. Shaka when the walls fell.
yeah,
Great.
yeah. Yeah, there's an argument, and it's like one metaphor getting repeated with slightly different emphasis.
Mhm.
So, like, maybe Zephit walks in for just a hot second on there, and they're like, what?
Oh, I love it. But yeah, with that, as you get your messages from home, we again sort of just see an external shot of the planet that once was a home to a species. And perhaps your characters contemplate what could have been had you decided to play gods, but you obviously chose not to. So Does that weigh on your conscience any? That is a question you have to ask your character. But that is where we will end today's session.
Woo!
Nice.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I was a little bit worried that you guys wouldn't come across the sort of special sort of, Trek question of the week kind of a thing.
Right.
But you were very close initially. Steadfast was like, "Oh, is he gonna guess it? Is he gonna guess it?
Yeah,
I can't
yeah.
say anything."
I was right there. We needed the smart guy to get us there. No. It's great. That was a fun one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I enjoyed that.
And no, sorry, Mason, I might have wrote it down in my notes wrong. Is it SOTEC?
SOTEC, yes.
Okay, SOTEC. Got it. Because I think we are going to capitalize on that relationship, and SOTEC is probably going to have like, hey, we're noticing this space-time anomaly. You probably need to go check it out.
Nice.
Cool.
Oh boy, we might run into a queue. Ooh.
I mean, that's what's fun is, though. I mean, it's...
It is. The question is, which queue are we going into?
I mean, it can't be that Q, right? I mean, Delancey Q? There's no way.
No, of course not.
No.
The right response to a cue is to punch him in the face.
Okay, we're on the same page. Yeah, we're all on the
Nice,
same
yeah.
page.
Then he will theoretically leave you alone forever.
I could do the whole elbows up Canadian thing. There's a whole... I could run 20 minutes of...
I've got it. Q is going to challenge you all to a hockey match. Boom. Instant episode.
Okay.
That's great. I love that.
I'll have to
Draw
think about
when
it
the
now.
sticks fell.
Oh, Lord. All right. Well, Twitch, stick around because we're going to raid somebody, but YouTube, this is where we say goodbye. Bye-bye, YouTube.
Bye, you two.